I've been working with to the arts, starting with Varun. Varun, as a founder of the Chennai Photo Biennale, how are you taking photography into the public art domain, and what challenges do you face?
Hi, Sumi. Thank you everyone. Thank you for inviting me, Sumi. I think as a city, Chennai is uniquely challenged in some sense with very, very few spaces for the arts. Whereas Delhi enjoys these sprawling galleries, even Bangalore has the NGMA. There are spaces that are public, that are for the art, that are of significance. In Chennai, that's not the case. And as someone who is, I call myself a public art activist because since I moved here and started wanting to show photography in public space, we found there were very few spaces to do it. So the first time we did a project, we went to a train station and we took over 13,000 square feet in a train station and pasted photographs. And that was a turning point where we decided, let's shift the paradigm, let's make it about being truly in public where people don't expect you. And that also fundamentally is because photography as itself is an art form that's not really found the appreciation that other arts have. And this is a global phenomena that now India is catching up with, where photography is being collected. So in that unique challenge, we decided let's go to the train station. Then we went to the beach. And subsequently, we've become bolder and are trying more ambitious spaces thereafter. So we're taking over historical buildings. We've taken over parks. So really trying to go to places that people also want to experience, and the art and the experience together make something special.
Working with their craft, and we have 2 galleries for contemporary art. And after I came in 8 years ago, being an artist myself, it was very easy for me to connect with artists and bring in good shows. Induction Chitra, you get people all age groups, school children, families, foreigners, all sorts. So I see the reaction to art. Like, for instance, we have puppetry in our collection. When they are displayed, kids and others who have just seen puppetry as an entertainment, they get to see how it's made, and they're so fascinated to see it's made with goat skin. So there it all begins. And even here, one of my friends, Saravanan from Pondicherry, he makes huge installations he makes art out of junk and scrap metal. And you see the temple car, the minute I showed Raj, he said, oh, it is beautiful, we should have it. So it's like that. Now I see a lot of youngsters looking at the installations here, just like see at our museum, and they'll be encouraged to do something with whatever is available, the available materials. Parvati did a beautiful installation with the plastic and water bottle. So it just gives people ideas to do something on their own. Everyone wants to be a painter these days because there's so much info on the internet, and the price tags, I think, are very encouraging to some of the youngsters. So they kind of, what is this? And I know sometimes when kids come to the gallery, when they see abstract art with fancy price tags, they're like, what is this? I can do better than this, and those sort of things. So it's all about the visual culture, which is not up to the mark because our school syllabus do not have it. So a public space like this, it'll make them think, and then they go back and they research on it. So they produce good art out of nothing. It doesn't have to be oil paints and huge canvas. So children and youngsters will be initiated through these kind of initiatives.
I left a career in finance and moved to Chennai to set up a garment business that works with sustainable fabrics. Anika, you're running a business in the creative arena. How important do you think public art is in our environment? Because it's easy to kind of...
I wanted to segue for a second away from the presumption that all of us think that public art is something that funding and effort should be devoted towards, and instead present what I hope is a persuasive argument that would appeal to a wider audience, including people who don't necessarily come from the field of art and design. And then I'm going to come back to sustainability. I used to have this experience when I would look at art and I would always try and find a personal connection to it. Either I would look for something that connected with my values or my thought process, or because I'm in the field of design, in a kind of selfish way, I would look to see if there was something I could derive from that and plug into my work. But I recently had this experience at the Kochi Biennale a few weeks ago that possibly changes the way that I will look at art going forward. And I saw a few installations, 2 video installations in particular, that made me momentarily lose my mind. But when I say lose my mind, I don't mean to say that I went insane. What I mean is that it felt like for a while my mind dissolved and I merged with these art pieces. And I came back and did some research and I was like, what is this feeling about? And James Joyce talks about the aesthetic arrest in Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. And it's essentially this blank space between one thought and another that allows you to open your mind. And you don't have to be somebody who is, who's knowledgeable about art or art history to experience that. And why is that something that's of benefit to society? Normally we were talking earlier this afternoon about how it all comes down to money and funding, and typically art, aesthetics, public art don't receive as much funding as other things because it's not as easy to measure that in comparison to economic growth or infrastructure. It's not, the perceived benefit is not easy to measure. And what I would like to argue is that experiencing that blank space allows us to open our minds. See, we're all walking around operating within our own box, and our own box is informed by our own experiences. And our experiences inform our worldview, but what we forget is that our experiences are only our own. So if there's a way in which at least that box in which we operate can enlargen, then it means that we are human beings with more bandwidth and more capacity, which makes us more beneficial to society.
Many years now. He's a big supporter. We have one of his works as a permanent artwork in VR Bengaluru in Whitefield. It's a lovely work. It's much appreciated. So as a senior artist, Murli, what would you like to see in the art space, in the public art space, that people like you can be involved in? Because again, like Anaka mentioned, a lot of this in the public domain comes down to funding. And a lot of times, senior artists like you are unaffordable. So how do we get good quality art, and how do you lead by example so that we can see museum quality art come into the public domain?
I would say that wherever public art is, you can say that there's no violence. The first thing is it's reduce the aggressiveness, or nullify that feel of people. It's also support and encourage love and betterment of humanity. Also, it's create kind of wellness in society. That we need to understand when we talk about the public art. It's also create wonderful spacing. It's also create kind of good relationship with that space. These all are the basic, the aesthetical sense of public art. I've been involved with VR from the beginning. One thing I should say that VR has contributed a new way of presenting public art into the social realm. That we need to really give a big respect to that kind of things. Because after this the economical thing, India was, missing a lot of art activities. Overall, Indian contemporary art was, facing a lot of problems. But, that's a time, that's a space India has taken up. And we have started, promoting public art into a kind of new areas. Earlier, it was like, public art means you can see something in the street, something in the government office, in front of government office, or somewhere else, okay, or public, what do you say, kind of, the gardens, places. But VR has, really gone through a lot of, the proper selection process. We are also done a lot of, research in these areas, where and how, we should, put that public art into the space where people generally engage with kind of, the shopping and other things. When
Really large public art installations. Tell the audience a little bit about your journey and how you managed to create these that are engaging to the public.
Thank you for the question. I'm an artist who's idealistic in that I believe that art is for everyone, but it's not necessarily the same kind of art for everyone. So it's not an either-or situation. What Chennai needs, what India needs, and what we need is that where you have a plenitude of art, where your child who goes to school is able to doodle and draw and there's an art teacher teaching him or her, where if you are a collector, there is a gallery or an artist that you collect, whereas if you're somebody who's scared to go into a gallery, and this is a very real feeling because galleries are not necessarily inviting places, but does that mean that the only art that can speak has to be in a gallery? I don't think so, and I think that's sort of where public art comes in, where if you don't go to the art comes to you. And for me, it's been that journey. I am a studio artist. I make art and I show this art in galleries and in exhibitions, and it's a very, very important place for me. I find my place in the universe when I make art. It speaks to me directly, and I find it a way to speak to people with it. But there was just this, so it was a logical and organic growth when I felt that there were certain things that could not be done in a gallery. And for example, I did this trash art installation earlier last year. We're already in a new year, which was a poem. It was a poem done to the river, made of trash that I collected from the RAJAA river. And it was such a powerful experience to go with these 40 volunteers to the RAJAA river and collect this trash and make the installation. And I think one of the strongest feedbacks I got was when I went to the gym, and the guy who cleans the gym had seen it, and he said, chance ille. It spoke, you'll allow the river to speak without needing a language. And I thought, if that could do that with this person, then, the art was engaging in a dialogue that was completed in the mind of the viewer. So I think public art, there is an aesthetic purpose to it, and I'm someone who draws and paints and makes films, and I think aesthetics are incredibly important. You've got to, it's got to grab you visually. But then after that, I think public art is a way to make you think. It's a way to make you think about something in the world, and it's a very, very powerful mechanism, whether it's in a mall or on the beach or in a railway station, or even a place like, say, the Kochi Biennale, which is very public. When I showed at the Kochi Biennale, 5 lakh people came to see it. So I think that's sort of as public as we can get in a way. And I think it's been an incredible journey of connecting with people to make public art. So, yes.
As an artist who's enjoyed a residency at the Rashtrapati Bhavan with its magnificent gardens and sculptures, what is your view on how we can translate that into other parts of our cities so that it doesn't only remain in the realm of a few?
First and foremost, let me thank everybody here. It's been a pleasure walking into the mall this evening. Lovely installations on both sides. And I was hats off to all the artists who've done this. Also, thank you, Sumi, and the organizers for having us all on the panel. To answer your question, I think there's some inspiration there itself in what you said, because when I was invited to the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the entire belief of the President of India was to make art, to take art to the public. So you can't take the man to the mountain, take the mountain to the man. And in his own words, he said, I wanted to break down the boundaries of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. But all said and done, the largest collection of art anywhere you can think of in the country is on the RAJAA Hill. As the presidents traveled all over the world, and the finest pieces of art are presented to them. So he's opened up the boundaries. He's inviting artists in residence, writers in residence to come and experience that on one part. And it's now open to public. So every weekend, close to 5 lakh people go to see these art forms. Which I think is a very great initiative on his part. Post that, there have been several ways and means we've been trying to, one of the things I feel very strongly is artists are very strong individuals. And if we can find ways and means to collaborate, we can get a lot of momentum. I mean, the 5 of us sitting here, if we put together something collectively, there's much more power in it. And that is something I would really reach out to and invite more and more people to, open up, collaborate. I think we'll go much further. We'll tend to